In this video, I want to show you another method of creating a file share. Now, this will be using PowerShell. Once the file share is created, we'll mount it on, let's say, a Linux machine this time. Last time we learned how do you mount it on a Windows-based machine, and this time we'll learn how do you mount it on a Linux-based machine. The only difference is that now we are creating a file share using PowerShell instead of the graphical user interface. Now I'll go to this storage account. And this is where we have to create the file share. So once the file share is created, it should be visible under this section, right under marketing. And like I said, we have to do it using PowerShell and not with graphical user interface by clicking on this button. That's not what we want to do. So I'll go back to the PowerShell here. And well, these are the two things that I want to achieve here. Number one is to retrieve my storage account information and then get the permissions using storage account key. Now this is something new here. And once both of these steps are done, we'll go to step 2, which is creating the file share. This is pretty easy, but retrieving storage account and storage account key is an important section. Let's see how we do that. The command to retrieve the storage account is new-az storage context. So I'll just type that, new-az storage context. I'll just do a tab completion. Then I will type my storage account name, which is, just copy from here, which is information hosting, and yeah, like that. And then what I will also need is a storage account key. Okay, now where do we get the storage account key from? You get it from the settings. So I'll scroll up to the top here. Under settings, you will see something called access keys. On the right hand side, you will see two keys, key 1 and key 2. You can either copy key 1 or key 2, doesn't matter. So I'll copy this key and just paste it in PowerShell. Now, if I execute this, you will see that it has retrieved all the information about that storage account. You can actually flip it like that, side by side screen. It has got information about the blobs, tables, queues, and files of that storage account. What I would like to do is store this information inside a variable, and I'll call it as, let's say, storage context. Okay, and I will execute this one more time. Now what I have inside this variable, I'll just execute that. You got all that information about the storage account inside the $storage context variable. Now it's time to create a new file share. The commandlet to create a new file share is new-az storage share. You have to provide a file share name as well, and I'll call it as important data. Important data, IMP data, will be the file share name. Then I have to provide the storage context as well. So I'll use the syntax -context is $storage context. So now it knows where to go and create that file share. I'll also put that inside a variable called $share equals that. So just in case I may need it after executing it. Now let's play the whole thing. Great. So I have an error that the given share name important data is not a valid name for a file share of Microsoft Azure file service. So there is something that I need to do. And that something is that changing the name here. Uppercases, special characters, they're not allowed in a file share. I'll just change this to lowercase and execute this one more time. Let's give it a shot. Alright, looks like it is successful. Now let's go back to the graphical user interface. Or let's pull it up from right here. What is the share name? Yeah, it is important data. It's created. So I'll go back to the graphical user interface, go to the files section, and then I must have two file shares. One is marketing, which was created in the previous video using the graphical user interface, and IMP data is something that is created using PowerShell. Let's click on connect, and then in the previous video we used PowerShell to connect to the Windows-based machine. Now we can use Linux as well. I have a Linux machine ready, so I can SSH to it and then run the mount command to mount it as a drive. I'll copy this, the whole thing, and SSH to this. So I'll putty. Just have to launch putty here. Yeah, paste it. Oops. Okay, I've got something else in my clipboard. We got 40.121.69.63. Okay, there you go. Connection established. Type the user ID and the password. Okay, a few seconds and it should give me the prompt. There you go. I've got the CLI ready for this. I'll copy this one more time and go back and execute that. Now before I do it, I'll just run df command here to see how many drives I have, and then I can run this df command one more time to see if my drive is actually mounted. So yeah, so something happened in the backend. I'll do df one more time, and now I see that a file share based on Windows is mounted, and the file share name is important data. So we can navigate to this and start pumping in information inside that drive. In this video, we learned how you can create a file share using PowerShell. Then we'll connect it to a Linux-based machine, executed these commands, and mounted the drive as a volume on a Linux machine.